Welcome to Brown Girl Book Lover. I'm Leslie Ann Murray, and this summer we are introducing you to writers you should be knowing about. And I want to talk about this book and this writer. Welcome, Christine Kandic Torres. I said that right. And her debut novel, The Girls and Queens. Christine, welcome to Brown Girl Book Lover.
Thank you so much for having me, Leslie Ann. It's a pleasure to be here.
Tell us about your book.
Sure. The Girls and Queens is about the fierce loyalty and friendship between two young Latinas named Brisma and Kelly, which is challenged when Brisma's ex-boyfriend, Brian, is accused of sexual assault. The girls rush to his defense at first, and then Brisma starts having second thoughts about her own relationships with men. And both girls are forced to decide not only what justice means to each of them, but who deserves it, and whether their shared history can sustain their future.
Tell us about the creation of this book. How did you come up with the premise and started to write it?
So the very first time I had the idea for the book was actually at a 2015 World Series game that the Mets played. I know that sounds like a weird way to back into this story, but I had won tickets to a World Series game. And while I was there at Citi Field, which is a newer stadium, I was thinking back on the last time that the Mets had made a dent in the playoff season, which was in 2006 at the old Shea Stadium. And that was a heavily Latino team. And the Mets organization was marketing to a Latino audience for the first time. And I was feeling nostalgic for that team and that time. And I thought for the first time, I think that there's a story that I could set in that atmosphere. And then the Brock Turner case at Stanford started getting a lot of attention in the media. And that's when my focus on people, but specifically women, and even more specifically women who've survived sexual assault and abuse themselves, who defend men despite obvious evidence of wrongdoing. And I realized then that I might actually have a novel-length story here, that I can marry these two things of Mets and baseball, and these working class kids who are first and second generation immigrant kids in Queens, the most diverse county in the United States, possibly the world, and women who choose to turn away from sisterhood and align with the patriarchy. I wanted to dig into that. When in a young girl's life do you start to turn away from that joy, that bond, that safe space with close girlfriends, and learn that there's a false sense of security in aligning yourself with the patriarchy?
Tell me, I've been interviewing a lot of Latinx writers, which has been a joy for me, right? Because 5 years ago, you had to dig through the stacks to find, and you would find Junot Diaz, which we love, but you would have to dig through the stacks. And no, you're part of this new wave, this new tradition. How do you feel about it?
It's exciting. It's exciting to see more and more stories that reflect the breadth of our experiences, because certainly we are not a monolith, right? There isn't just one Latinx story. There's not just one immigrant story, certainly. And so it's really exciting to be able to offer this little corner of the world that I wanted to portray. I don't think there are many portrayals of women of color who are sports fans in literature or media at all.
Thank you so much for telling us about your book. And that's it. I appreciate it. It's short, it's sweet. I just want people to know who you are and buy your book and support you.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.